This is Seasons of Discontent with your hosts Rick Snyder and Matt Combs.
Welcome to Seasons of Discontent, Season 9, Episode 7, brought to you by Rick Snyder's Washington on YouTube and our new special sponsors, the letters A, B, and I didn't want to announce it until we got it, but the number 12. So make sure you follow along. I'm Rick Snyder.
I'm Matt.
And we're back discussing all things Washington sports and life as part of, well, my network, Rick Snyder's Washington. So please like, share, subscribe, comment, and hit that thanks button so Matt can have a big drink this weekend.
The mighty Rick Snyder Network.
There you go. I had one. This was Legends weekend for the Washington Commanders, and I had one of them come up and goes, "Hey, Mr. 2 Minutes," and I mean, I covered him. Oh, I don't know, Anthony Armstrong. I think he said he finished in 2011. So it's been 15 years. He comes along, "Hey, Mr. 2 Minutes," and Anthony Armstrong was a guy couldn't quite get enough time here. But, man, he's now rocking as a realtor in Dallas and, doing well in life. So it was interesting to see the team actually put out a list. Well, they didn't put out the list. They said we have 175 guys. Yeah, who? I didn't get around to that. But, a lot of the Rippon was there and, that kind of thing.
All the usual.
And they got to watch their legacy beat to death again. So it was butt kicking time at FedEx Field where the Buffalo Bills just steamrolled them. I mean, it was kind of close until, I guess, into the third. And then, Sam Howell tried to be Superman. And ended up being nothing. There are so many things to unpack there. One, why didn't they run the ball a little more? I mean, okay, to a point. When you're down 16-0, you can still run some. They were still running effectively. Once it got past that, you can't because you don't have time for a running game. But still, 17 runs against was it like 12 runs against 28 passes, something like that. It was a 70% rate. That was a little crazy. Why didn't you do more quick strikes to try and overcome this pass rush? Buffalo's pass rush is not that great. Philadelphia's pass rush is there. And a bunch of the Bills defenders, I read the quote sheet, said, hey, we knew he held the ball too long. We knew on third down he would hold the ball too long, so we just teed off. Mm-hmm. Right? Why didn't you activate a fullback? Why didn't you use them? Mm-hmm. For a blocker. I mean, I think this was EB's real, poor game calling. And suddenly he goes from being the potential king of DC to just another coach that people say fire him. He'll become Eric the enemy if this goes on another week. It's funny how this just goes. Last week, everybody wanted to make him head coach. And now they want to send him down the road. I mean, there were so many things they could have done and they didn't. And I think Sam just kind of got down that black hole and couldn't get himself out and threw the picks.
Yeah, it was funny. One of the things that we saw during the Denver game was as the pass rush was getting to Sam, they went to more of a screen game. They adjusted coverages and stuff like that. You didn't really see any of that this week, and I don't know why. You have to make adjustments. If something ain't working, Rick, you got to adjust it, right? And we didn't really see too many adjustments. And I think you're right. I think Sam Howell, Rivera said it today, and I tend to agree with him. I mean, this is still a young player. Yes, he's in his second year, but this is only his fourth start, and this is honestly, probably the toughest test he's had. Dallas in week 18 last year they were in the playoffs. That was kind of it was a surprise. Let's say it was a surprise that he was able to do what he did against the Cowboys last year. But then again, you have Arizona, and then we've seen what Denver is. Denver just got 70 put up on them yesterday against the Dolphins. So they're not very good, obviously. But yeah, this was like one of the first true tests that Sam had. And I think, like you said, he got into that just bad play hole, and he just couldn't pull himself out of it. And I don't think that Bieniemy and the offensive line did anything to help him.
Yeah, I mean, his footwork wasn't very good either, but it's sort of like when it all goes bad, it's all going to go bad. And I knew that Sam would have a day like this. He's probably going to have at least a couple more on this. And it's okay. It's part of the education. And at one point, you kind of wondered, will they pull him? And we were discussing it in the press box. And I said, no, because I don't want to hear a week of, maybe it should go to Jacoby. And he's got to learn to fight through tough times. So as long as he doesn't get hurt, that's the risk you take.
Well, yeah, and we've talked about that in the past. Brissett is not your future. If anything, Hal is your future. You need to see if the kid can pull himself out of it or how he bounces back next game after having this type of game. We need to see, and I'll tell you what, the kid's a cyborg because he has no emotion, whether good or bad. I mean, he seems to kind of just shake it off and go out and continue to play. Now, granted, like you said, he got into that hole and he just kept having bad thing after bad thing happen to him. But no, you can't go to Jacoby Brissett. You don't go to Jacoby Brissett unless Hal's injured. Brissett is not your future. Brissett is a 1-year backup here to help Sam grow type thing. He is not the future, as to where Sam Howell possibly could be your future. I mean, hell, up until this game, everybody was calling him, finally we got a QB1, well, just because he goes out and throws a couple interceptions in a winnable game, in a game that became very unwinnable, are you going to pull him so Jacoby can go throw a touchdown?
And everybody, when you went through the schedule, you thought, well, they could be 2-0, and then it might be 2-2. And so not like this loss came out of nowhere. Everybody just got caught up in themselves. Here's the question. Would you have kicked the field goal at the end?
I mean, it looks good on the scoreboard. You didn't get shut out.
Yeah, and that's what you do. And I had no problem with him kicking it. Hey, Joey Sly needs chances too. A snapper, he needs a chance to work on his game.
We know Cheeseman needed some of that game action.
So, okay, I had no problem with that. But this game, now what it's all about is Mike Tyson's favorite quote I love to say is, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face. All right, you got punched in the face. He got you down on the ground and beat on you for a while. What are you going to do now? What about all these different phases of the team? This wasn't like they lost because of Sam. They all stunk. Defense stunk at times, too many bad plays. Yeah, it wasn't a runaway loss, but nobody, I thought the receivers played well. I thought the tight ends did okay. Other than that, the offensive line, of the 9 sacks, I think 4 or 5 of them were on Sam more than anything.
Yeah.
So, I'm still, they would have given up 4 or 5 themselves. But, I thought the coaching just didn't react. He didn't react at all to this.
No, every time I showed Rivera on the sideline, it was just that statuesque, blank stare. Like he was just sitting there getting angry. And it's like, well, if you're angry, do something about it, dude. You're the head coach of the team. But see, that's the thing, Rick. I mean, the first 2 games we were expected to beat Arizona because Arizona is so bad, but yet then they go out and beat the Cowboys yesterday.
Right.
And then we were supposed to beat Denver, or Denver was supposed to be a close game, which it ended up being. Buffalo's a perennial Super Bowl contender. This is a team that has been picked to go to the Super Bowl and has been knocking on the door of the Super Bowl for the past 3 or 4 years. I mean, if it wasn't for Kansas City. So, this is not a surprising, maybe the score is a little jaunting when you look at it and you think, wow, 37-3, but that, I mean, it just shows you the different classes that are in the NFL. The Bills are at the top of the class. And I'm sorry, as a Maryland fan and a person that has watched the NFL his entire life, I don't know how you let Stephon Diggs run around wide open like that all day. I mean, do they not know that they have to cover Stephon Diggs? Now, granted, I know Forbes was in and out of the game all day. He might have had some sort of an injury, but you can't let Stephon run around on you like that all game. But yeah, this is just another. It just shows you that while there are improvements, they are not in the class of the Buffalo Bills. They are not in the class of the Philadelphia Eagles. They're not in the class of the Kansas City Chiefs. That is a tier 1 that we are not ready to join. As a table we ain't ready to sit at yet.
Yeah, in the defensive line, I watched some of this. They got no sacks. They let the other team run on them at will.
Mm-hmm.
I watched Chase. Chase had some energy, had some plays, but he's often, I think he's more concerned with sacking quarterbacks than, none of them really seem to be stopping the run.
Mm-hmm.
Play both. and Chase is chasing that money, and he's going for the quarterback. You know, there are times I saw him not chase the play on the other side of the field. You know, hey, you're on the field, you got to keep following the play because you never know. He did that as a rookie and made some plays. I didn't see it again this time. You know, I think if they traded Chase before the deadline, I'd be okay with it because I don't see him back here next year.
Yeah, I don't either. Also, I think that the loss does fall on me a little bit. I bought the hype and I bought a shirt, so it's my fault.
Nice. Well, it was about 2/3 Bills fans, more or less. They had about 60,000, as they claim. But yeah, it was heavy Bills. And they weren't exactly gracious winners around the stadium, you know. But yeah, it was, you know, I had a lot of people accuse me of lying that the Bills weren't more than 50%. Oh, it wasn't even close, you know, because they owned half of one side and then part of the other side, you know, and most of the expensive seats in the middle.
I mean, Rick, we're going to experience that with a lot of these home games is because the Josh Harris acquisition was announced so late. These are all tickets that were bought while Dan was still owner. You know, these are all tickets that went on sale last year while Dan was still owner, and we had no inclination that he was selling the team. So it's going to take a year for us to gain our home field advantage again. It was nice to see against Arizona, but then again, Arizona, that's 3,000 miles away. There's no Arizona fans here. You know, Buffalo's not too close, but we live in Washington, D.C. There's a fan of every team somewhere in this city, you know, and for your Bills fans, all I got to say is 1991. Okay. Win a Super Bowl. Yeah.
Washington has 3 shiny trophies. Buffalo has none, despite 5 straight Super Bowl trips.
Well, they got 5 losers trophies.
Yeah, they got 5 AFC championship trophies. Yeah.
there you go.
I don't even know.
You don't have the big one. You know, there's that big tall one with the football on it. Yeah. They don't have that.
Those are nice. But yeah, FedEx, you know, the first game, Washington's a big events town. And that's why I knew the first game would be like that too. The question is when they play Chicago on Thursday night, after they play Philly this week. So 10 days from now, they're playing Chicago at home. Very winnable game, I would think. Can't be too many Bears fans really wanting to come, but it is a Thursday night. People work Friday. That's a tough Thursday. You know, night games here are tough. Show me what the attendance is that night. Now tell me how many Commanders fans have bought in and will be here. You know,
I mean, it's a winnable game. It's a much more winnable game than Buffalo was. So, but yeah, like you said, I mean, but then again, it's also an excuse to take off on Friday and make it a 3-day weekend, right?
Yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. But you got traffic, and people don't want to fight that. You know, that side of the Beltway now stinks like the rest of the Beltway.
Yeah, I don't see a lot of Bears fans showing up from what I can see online. Bears fans are just as frustrated as we've been over the past couple of years.
Yeah, I ran into a couple of fans in the parking lot. Last couple games I've seen them, and they fly out from Houston for every game, and they go home the next day. They were pretty. One of them was pretty lubricated, but I saw them in the parking lot, and it was a big crowd there tailgating early. I mean, the weather sucked. About a half hour after the game, the sun came out after that tropical storm had dropped. I had 12 inches of rain where I live.
Oh yeah, It rained all day Saturday, and just about all morning Sunday.
Oh yeah, the kickoff came, and then suddenly the rain came. Yeah. You know, it like timed it perfectly. But yeah, when the sun came out right after the game, you're like, oh, screw you too, Mother Nature. I had a friend, people in the stands told me it wasn't too bad, but I don't know. It definitely was a tough day there. All right, we're going to jump out of here, and we'll be back on Thursday with the next show. Hopefully, Matt and I stay healthy enough for another 10 minutes. So thanks to our new sponsors, AB and number 12, and we'll be back soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Seasons of Discontent with your hosts, Rick Snyder and Matt Combs.